Section 523 of the Bankruptcy Code creates exceptions to the general discharge, specific categories of debt that survive a bankruptcy discharge and remain collectible even after the case closes. If your debt falls into one of these categories, filing a Section 523 adversary proceeding is how you protect your right to collect. Here are the most significant Section 523 exceptions to discharge and how they apply to creditors. Section 523A, 2. Fraud and false pretenses. A debt incurred through fraud, false pretenses, or a false financial statement is non-dischargeable. This covers the debtor who submitted falsified financial statements to obtain a loan, made false representations about their financial condition to induce a sale on credit, or used a credit card knowing they had no intent or ability to repay. To succeed on a Section 523A2 claim, you must show the debtor made a false representation that they knew was false, with intent to deceive, and that you reasonably relied on that representation to your detriment. Section 523A4. Fraud or defalcation in a fiduciary capacity, embezzlement, or larceny. Debts arising from the debtor's fraud while acting as a fiduciary, a trustee, executor, corporate officer with fiduciary duties, attorney holding client funds, are non-dischargeable. Embezzlement and larceny are also covered. This section is particularly relevant for business creditors whose losses resulted from an officer or partner's misappropriation of company funds. Section 523AA, 6. Willful and malicious injury. Debts arising from the debtor's willful and malicious injury to another person or their property are non-dischargeable. Willful in this context means the debtor intended the injury, not just the act. Intentional torts, deliberate property destruction, and knowing copyright infringement have been found to satisfy this standard. Section 523A, 5. Domestic support obligations. Child support and alimony are never dischargeable in bankruptcy in any chapter. Section 523A, 8. Student loans. Federal and most private student loans are non-dischargeable, absent a showing of undue hardship, a very high standard that very few debtors successfully meet. Section 523A, 19. Securities law violations. Debts from violations of federal or state securities laws, fraud in the purchase or sale of securities are non-dischargeable. The procedure. Section 523, claims must be raised by filing an adversary proceeding in the bankruptcy court within 60 days after the first date set for the Section 341 meeting of creditors. Miss that deadline in Chapter 7 or Chapter 11 and the right is waived. There is no deadline in Chapter 13. The debt simply revives if the Chapter 13 is dismissed without discharge. People Locator skip tracing investigates debtors to develop the factual record needed to support Section 523 adversary proceedings. Visit peoplelocatorskiptracing.com to place your order.